Alright, in this video, I'm going to give my review and reaction on the documentary, and then also at the end, if you're interested in that, I'll have it in the timestamps below, just the new song that released with X and Kanye. I do think the documentary would have been better if they had DJ Scheme and Denzel Curry, but I'm not going to go on and on about that, because the documentary was still good, and I feel like we all kind of understand that was objectively a questionable decision, especially when it focused on that time frame where both of them were in his life. I feel as though they made the documentary for the person watching to really question themselves. Should you be able to separate the artist from the art? They asked X this almost immediately in the documentary, and this was definitely intentional. So in the comments below, or just, think to yourself for a moment, pause it if you need to. Should you be able to separate the artist from the art? Now they asked X it, and this was his response.
So it's hard to tell if as a person that anything that is controversial or spoken on about me is remotely even true. You never know who you're fucking with unless you fully dwell into them as a person. So I definitely think it is very, very important to understand who you are fucking with and who you're listening to. Yes, I do.
So it sounds as though X was saying yes, but the reason he was saying yes is so you could separate whether or not the artist would actually do something they're accused of, which kind of isn't the question, but I get what he's going for. He obviously they're asking it pertaining to his situation. So in his situation, he's saying if you fully delve into the artist as a person through all their interviews and everything like that, you can see whether their music represents who they are at all, and you can also kind of have an indication of whether or not you would think they would do anything like that. Now, I'm not agreeing with that. That's just what I believe X is saying. So it seems he doubles down at the end that you shouldn't separate the art from the artist. And he also is kind of saying that in a way where it seems like for him, it proves that he's innocent if you dive into who he is as a person, which is interesting because it feels as though the documentary basically 100% proved that Geneva was correct with all of her allegations. Alright, so the reason everyone seems to believe that Geneva was telling the truth the whole time is that she didn't falter from it at all. She absolutely maintained that she was telling the truth. There was one witness who claimed to be in the house and saw Geneva go into a room, heard some things going on, her walk out and be a bit bruised up. This witness also would go on to say that she feels as though no one spoke out on it because his friends really couldn't benefit from doubling down on the accusations and getting him thrown in jail. But if he blew up and his career took off, then theirs would as well. So there's no good side to going against X. The other thing is his mother would even go on and say that she didn't say it directly, but insinuated multiple times and kind of said to Geneva that she believed Geneva's side despite the fact that X had never told her that he had actually done anything that he was accused of. With that being said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it. I am searching for it, and I will put it in the video if I can find it. There was a clip of his manager, or I don't know what exactly the guy does. I think his name was Solomon. But it's Solomon, basically, they asked him if X ever said anything to him about it, and he was like, nah, cut this, we're not putting this in there, I'm not talking about it. I'm going to see if I can find the clip. If I have it, I'm going to play it right now, but if not, I guess we'll just move on to the next topic. Okay, so the main dilemma we're going to have with this documentary is going to be basically all around the treatment of Geneva, and I want it to be very understood that if someone accuses someone of something, you do not need to publicly bash anybody at all. With this Geneva situation, just to make this very, very clear, Geneva gained absolutely nothing, but from the clips, you could clearly see she got X out of jail. Without her deciding that she wanted to let X out, it would not have happened. X would have stayed in jail, and he would have never had his career. Think about the entire way that X blew up. The mugshot made Look At Me pop off. Look At Me gave him access to a label that would provide him with a good studio, all these good producers and everything like that, and that is where he would go and be able to produce the Question Mark album. Almost none of the music on that album was actually recorded at the time he was signed because he was using such a low quality equipment. So Geneva accused him. The accusations led to the mugshot, which led to Look At Me popping off, which led to literally all of his success. None of it would have happened without Geneva because she chose, despite, from her side, this is what she's saying, despite it being 100% true that X did what she said, she decided to let him out. And from that, he got to blow up all the way, got all this money, got all this success, all these fans, and those same fans would be the ones to make Geneva's life hell for months, maybe even years moving forward. It seems as though only now people are on Geneva's side. which I just want to make this clear. People were on our side a little bit before, but the amount of X fans, completely unnecessary to go and bash her for it. They were trying to act like they entirely knew the situation. I don't know if I did it. I don't believe I did it, but if I did, I was in the wrong, and if you did, you need to understand that you were in the wrong as well. You didn't need to go publicly bash Geneva. Just because she said that she was dropping it and that it wasn't true doesn't mean that it's the case. She just decided to give X freedom. Now, the other situation that is going to come out of this is she chose that. Should that be the same case for other people? Because I think a lot of people would argue, well, I guess it would start with, do you believe X redeemed himself? And if you do, should other people be given that same opportunity, and who should give them that opportunity? If someone did the same thing as X, even take X, if Geneva just didn't allow him to go out, the government probably wasn't gonna. Like, the court system, they were probably gonna give him some years. It looked like he was gonna face like 10 minimum or something like that, I believe. So the whole X wave would have never happened. He would have never been a rapper. He would have never had this big influence. The debate of whether or not he was a good person at the end would not be there even remotely. So I just want us to imagine this other path. X doesn't get let out. He goes to jail. That's the end of the story. Now, if you believe he redeemed himself, should Geneva be the one who decides whether or not he gets a chance to? That's a conversation for you to have. I'm not really getting into that. But aside from that, the other thing is, should other people for like other things that are thrown in jail, should they get a chance? Should more people all around get a chance? Think about Henry Ruggs. He got absolutely wasted, drove 150 miles per hour, and ended up killing 2 people in a car accident. Now, that is absolutely wrong. But what good does it do just to put him in jail for the next 15 years or so? I think, personally, this is going to be my take, and you guys can disagree, and I understand that not everyone is going to agree on this. In a case like X, or a case like this, you need to try to rehabilitate them and get whatever was going on figured out. For X, it seemed clear towards the end of the documentary. They were getting a studio in his house. They were making him spend more time in music because music was like therapy to him. They also had him getting actual therapy. And it did, to me, seem as though he was turning it around. If you disagree, you disagree. If you don't think people can turn around, you don't think people can turn it around. But in the case of Henry Ruggs, he made a terrible decision, drunk driving, killed a family. Now he's in jail. There's no chance for him to redeem himself. And if someone wasn't near the popularity of X or Ruggs, we would literally never hear of it. They would just never get a chance to redeem themselves. So should it be the case? Think about it. Henry Ruggs could go and work playing football like he used to, and all the money he makes could be put towards a charity or the family, and he could just make a very small margin of it. So he doesn't even really see a lot of it. He just gets his freedom, and for his freedom, he has to work to redeem himself. And if he doesn't, just throw him right back in there. I mean, you don't get big second chances with this. If you mess up again, you're done. It's how I think it should be. You can disagree, you can agree, whatever. The other thing is, I see some people saying it felt like more of a smear campaign, which I understand where they're coming from, but I feel as though there's a difference between setting the record straight and a smear campaign. So what is gonna happen if they don't set the record straight? Geneva just continues getting hate, and X is still looked at as kind of a god. I mean, he was looked at very highly, but now it's evening out a bit more. I think Geneva is the one who actually has to live with the consequences. I think it's great that some people are actually going to be on her side now, going to be supporting her now. I think that's something that she absolutely deserves because, like I said, the god figure that some people made X out to be, she gave him the power to be that. Without her, there is no X, to be 100% clear, because she could have just thrown him straight into jail. If she didn't have any sympathy or whatever it may be, he's never getting out. End of the career. It's over. So I think them doing the documentary the way they did, it feels a little bit as though they didn't really spend nearly as much time talking about any of the good he did. They just kind of referenced it a few times and referenced some things he was doing to get better, which I think is good. But it just comes down to, is it fair? I know people don't like speaking on the dead or anything like that. I think it's 100% warranted for them to put this out. Just be transparent with who the guy really was. I don't think, you should just leave him out there to be looked at as a god. I think Geneva absolutely deserves her side to be told, and if it's true, deserves all the support that, she was, like I said, she was put through hell while X was put on a pedestal. It's absolutely wild. The last thing I want to talk about before getting into the song review is that multiple times X referenced that all the negative energy is what was giving him all the attention and all the influence and all the popularity before the crime happened. The crime allegedly happened, and his mugshot from what he was accused of is what makes him blow up, which is absolutely wild. Literally all of it comes down to Geneva, and she let him out, so all he was rewarded for it. He never really had to see any crazy amount of jail time. He was given an entire career from it, and even when it seemed as though there, an audio would leak or something that didn't go really with X, people would kind of stand by his side no matter what, not saying that they're doing it because they think he can turn it around as a person, but saying they can stand by his side because she's lying when she wasn't the whole time. And even at the time, there wasn't really much evidence to prove that X didn't do it, that's a whole nother debate, but yeah, I don't know. All right, now we're going to get into the song review. I'm just going to play it. I might play a snippet or something. I'm going to tell you guys what I think about it real quick. All right, I think the song actually sounded, all right. I don't think it was anything special. I think the engineering on his voice was a little weird, but it was fine. It's just another X song. It's nothing special. I didn't expect something amazing. Kanye, I guess he did his part or whatever. I don't know. I feel like it's just like at this point they've worked with as little as they possibly can. All they had was the one hook, and they just repeated it, which I mean, I guess fair enough. They didn't say featuring Kanye, they said and Kanye. It's all right. Maybe I'll add it for a month or two and then I'll remove it. But I guess it's refreshing to hear some more X. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.